Protests are continuing throughout the Middle East, denouncing an American-made anti-Islamic film. Here in Washington, the White House is battling on two fronts to try and stem the violence that's directed towards America, while also dealing with a war of words that's broken out over its diplomatic handling of the situation. With the third attack on an American diplomatic building, this time in Yemen, anti-American sentiment is spreading through the Middle East. Protests are continuing, the situation escalating. The latest breach of an American building came with the storming of the embassy in Yemen, the day after the US ambassador in Libya was killed. In Egypt, several hundred people have been injured in protests, with further protests reported in Morocco, Sudan and Tunisia. In Washington, US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton criticised the violence but condemned the film, which has sparked the protests.
To us, to me personally, this video is disgusting and reprehensible. It appears to have a deeply cynical purpose to denigrate a great religion and to provoke rage.
As the anti-American protests continue, actors who took part in the movie have come out saying they were duped by the filmmaker, who now appears to be a Coptic Christian rather than an Israeli Jew. The actors say they had no idea it was an anti-Muslim movie. The US government now feel the attack in Libya, in which Ambassador Stevens and 3 others died, was a planned and coordinated attack timed for the 11th anniversary of 9/11, possibly by al-qaeda or another fundamentalist group. The question now, was this a US intelligence failure, with security officers failing to pick up on the inflammatory film and a planned consulate attack?
Did we miss a plot that mounted a concerted military action with the demonstration as a cover? It looks as if that might have been the case, and we just have to wait until the incident investigation is complete to know whether that's the case. But look, there are always going to be things happening in the world that we don't know about.
And now the issue of controlling the fallout. A meeting was held in Washington to discuss the growing problems in the Middle East and the feeling that extremism is on the rise.
There is a growth of violent extremism that needs to be addressed in the midst of this revolution in Libya. There are people who have grievances that are building day after day and a week after week, and they will eventually create the critical mass necessary to take them into the circle of violence.
But feelings differ as to whether America's combative response is the right one.
I'm a little perplexed, that's all, at the presence of 2 destroyers off of Libya. Maybe somebody can tell me what they're doing there, but it doesn't seem to me an appropriate response.
However, within America, the Obama administration's handling of the diplomatic situation has come under fire. Presidential challenger Mitt Romney has said the United States should not apologize for its right of free speech. But that's not a constitutional right that exists in many of the countries where protesters have taken to the streets. It's a situation that's changing by the hour, but the longer it goes on, the greater the anti-American sentiment seems to get. The White House's handling of the situation, inside and outside its own borders, is under close scrutiny, especially now with an election looming, where foreign policy is fast becoming a growing issue. This is Nick Harper for JN1 in Washington, D.C.